Hello everybody, welcome to another quick video. Now, find myself today up on the North Yorkshire coast, more specifically around Flamborough Head, up towards Mountain Cliff, that sort of area. So it's fantastic chalk lines, beautiful cliffs and amazing seascapes. Unfortunately, it's horrendously windy. So the plan was for today, come out, do a few comparisons with the old cameras, comparing it against the OM1 and seeing what sort of things that would sort of come out with. But I think that one's going to have to wait until tomorrow. Depending on weather conditions. It's a shame really, because some lovely views. If I just spin you around here, look, it's a glorious spot, beautiful blue seas, absolutely gorgeous. And so a few families in the background as well, enjoying the scene as well, which is quite nice. But go have a quick chat to you today about the megapixel race, and does it really matter? So just give you a few thoughts. So I managed to get a few shots off this morning, been quite nice, but it is quite busy, there's quite a lot of families around. And it's sort of thing that it'd be perfect if the weather conditions were absolutely smack bang on, but with how windy it is, I don't know if you can make it out on the mic, it's very intense. Certainly the higher you get, you're literally sort of leaning into the wind. But yeah, some interesting sort of shots out around here, which has been quite nice. But yeah, onto the megapixel thing. There's a big push at the moment for sort of more sort of towards the sort of the full frame market, pushing for megapixels. You've got to have more megapixels, you've got to have 60 megapixels, 100 megapixels. There's talk of 150 megapixel sensors coming out into the medium format area. Do we really need that many megapixels? I don't think we do. I'll tell you why. My first digital camera was 2 megapixel bridge camera, but it did some great shots. And 2 megapixels were actually spot on for the time. I mean, we're looking at sort of early 2000s. It was a nice camera, it was an old Fujifilm one, which worked really well. The second digital camera I ever bought, again, was a bridge camera, 5 megapixels. And again, the quality was great. Dynamic range for a bridge camera was actually really quite good, and the quality that you got from the images coming out was pretty much bang on. You then start moving into the realm of the digital SLRs. And obviously, we're looking at 5 megapixels on the early ones of those, and they were still used for commercial, professional work. It wasn't a problem for them. It didn't really cause any issues with blowing up for ginormous sort of sizes for billboards and stuff like that. So the current race to get more megapixels into the camera as you can, I think is more of a marketing ploy than anything else. And I will admit, having extra megapixels can sometimes be quite handy, especially if you're cropping in. It means you can actually sort of get more detail from the crop without sort of worrying about sort of losing your resolution. But, case in point, I've got a Canon 5D Mark I, which has got 13 megapixels. That's a professional camera. It was used from 2005 up to about 2009 when the Mark II came out, and that was like the benchmark standard. That was used all over the world. It was set standards left, right and centre. This is not that long ago. It's under 20 years ago, and that was a professional standard. We then started moving on to like 16, 18 megapixel cameras, and the quality, although it improved, yeah, it was still as good as the 5D. I still use that 5D now, and it gives fantastic shots. Then we start moving on. We start looking at sort of up to sort of the 20 megapixel camera range, and that really sort of is a good point. I mean, when I replaced my original 5D Classic with a 5D Mark II, that was a 21 megapixel sensor, and the images from that absolutely stunning. Dynamic range was great. You didn't really have too much issues with noise because you're not pushing things too hard with the megapixels in that tiny space. It was a brilliant camera, and even so, look, the OM1 that I'm filming this on now, that's only got 20 megapixels, but it's plenty. You're not really sort of wanting for any more. If I need any extra, I can run the high res mode. It gives me 50 megapixels, but mostly that's because I want to crop down and use that side of it. I don't really gain anything from the extra megapixels. It's a bit like my last full frame camera, my 5D Mark IV. That got a 30 megapixel sensor on it, and that I was always looking would I get more from it? Because you could actually get the 5DS, which had got a 50 megapixel sensor, and the problem that you always got with that was noise, because you're packing the sensor so tightly with the actual sort of sensor pixels that you get noise because you're doing too much to actually sort of try and bring that light into such a finite area, which is why the full frame really it kind of, sort of saturates at about 50 megapixels. Any more than that, you really start to push noise. You're having to process it in sensor to actually get rid of the pre-noise from the sensor itself. Medium format, you've got the bigger sensor, you can get away with a bit more, which is why they're pushing up to 100 and 150 now. But you still don't really need that level. It's handy for cropping, but what you are getting are massive file sizes, and you also get the issue with, like I say, additional noise. The new Panasonic GH6, they bucked the trend, because most of the system always ran at 20 megapixels for Micro Four Thirds. They've gone to 24 megapixel, well, just under 25 I think it is, which has given a slight boost to it, but I don't really think that it's given it that much. Certainly the shots that I've seen from it, they don't really sort of give you anything extra compared to what I'm seeing from the OM1. So I don't think really it's anything more than just, we've built a new sensor, we've put an extra few megapixels in, it's good for the marketing. So it does make you wonder, at which point do you realise that you're actually paying for the fact that they're trying to cram too many megapixels into the camera purely as a marketing ploy, and you're not really paying for the features actually in the camera itself. Certainly a lot of the newer stuff that I'm seeing coming through, like the Sony 60 megapixels and stuff like on the A7R, on the Mark IV I should say, their image quality, it's okay, it's not bad at all, but I'm not seeing any massive improvements over stuff that I've seen from like my old 5D4 or sort of anything like the newish sort of Canon R3, their mirrorless Pro grade. That's only a 20 megapixel sensor, but it works brilliantly. It's a bit like the old sort of 5DX Mark III that they released before they sort of moved into the mirrorless range. That was only a 20 megapixel sensor, but this is a top-end pro grade camera that they're using. So why are they not using the bigger sensors? Is it because you don't need it? So there you go, that's my thoughts on the Megapixel Race. What do you think? Drop us a comment down below, love to hear from you. Let's have a chat about it. I think there's quite a lot coming with the newer cameras where you're not going to see these massive jumps in megapixels anymore. I think they've reached a point where they can't push the sensors any further without using a lot of on-sensor processing to get rid of that noise and try and sort of improve the image quality before it gets out to the main sort of camera processing system. I might be wrong, but let's have a chat. Let's see what you think to it. But for now, I'm going to have a bit more of a wander around. I'll put a few shots up now that we're taking, so you can have a bit of a look. But thanks for watching. If you'd like the video, please do hit that thumbs up, really helps out. And if you could hit the subscribe button, it'd be absolutely fantastic. Free of charge, it doesn't cost you a penny, but really helps me out. But for now, thanks for watching. We'll see you again next time. Take care.